Welcome to Rocking Your Record Books with myself and Sophia. I am a second year ambassador for the Kamloops Okanagan region. I have been in 4-H for 9 years now, and out of all the projects I've done, my favorite project is dog.
Awesome. Hi guys, I'm Sophia and I'm a first year ambassador for the Fraser Valley region. I'm also president of the Richmond Delta 4-H Club, a role that I've acquired this year and have been very much enjoying. I've been a member of this club for 6 years in dairy and photography, and my favorite activity is judging, but I'm not that good at it. I have too much sympathy for the animals, so we sometimes give a few sympathy points, but it's okay. It's fun. It's fun.
So a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight, the content game plan, essential skills, a couple real world scenarios, the book itself, like what every record book includes, the judging cards, and then also a bit of what judges are looking for. Some of our useful tips that we've experienced through the many years we've been in 4-H and learned, and just like some like personality to add into your record book, and just like determination and effort. And then we're gonna have a quiz at the end. Well, we're gonna have one quiz with one question, then it's another quiz with another question.
Gotta pay attention, people. That's why
Definitely.
we have these things. Keep you guys on your toes. So why care? How can your record book benefit you?
Hey,
So,
Sophia, sorry. We
mhm.
can't see your screen.
Oh my God, you. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
will share it again. Let's see. Better?
Yeah.
Would you
Okay.
like us to go back up a couple slides?
Uh, did you guys see this one yet? No? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, this one? Okay, we saw this one. So why care? How can your record book benefit you? So, record books come with a lot of essential skills that can apply to your everyday life, even outside of 4-H. So, record book skills are linked to bookkeeping, organization, and planning. So, for bookkeeping skills, there's a lot of future job things that are involved with bookkeeping, like keeping track of achievements, projects, and financials in a record book. So, that's an aspect of a lot of different jobs you could have, like it could be trades, it could be healthcare, anything. And the record book that you do in 4-H requires very careful attention to detail and strong organizational skills, and these are all very essential in any type of job you might find yourself doing in the future. Another aspect of bookkeeping is financial literacy. So this means keeping track of what you bought, when, and this is also really good for tax purposes, knowing where to improve your business or knowing what's worth it and what's not. So all of these are very helpful if you're running a business or if you're doing an accounting job. Really, there's numbers to anything. And then, of course, business ownership. We kind of touched on that a little bit with the financial literacy. So with business ownership, it comes with a lot of agendas, planning, and that's all part of your 4-H record book. So, record books are also related to organization in the way of knowing where all your information is. That way, you can keep it all in line. If you are looking for something, you'll know where to find it and keeping your thoughts organized. It also helps you to scrap the scatterbrain. Regularly updating your record book after events, meetings, or key project days encourages you to stick to a routine, and that helps avoid the chaos that often comes when you try to cram it in later that week or close to the end of the deadline. So it keeps you on your toes. And then lastly, we have planning that's involved with your record books. So planning involves a lot of goal setting. You can give yourself direction, um, preparedness for anything you might encounter in your future. This could be job related, like let's say you cut down trees for a job. You wouldn't just go in your truck, drive off to some random job and not know what the heck you're doing. You sit there, you make a plan of how you're going to cut down the tree, and that's all, again, part of your record book skills. And of course, the main thing is staying on track. So you know what your goals are, you know the resources you need for your goals, and it gives you a lot of direction. So we are now going to think of a scenario where your record book skills might come in handy. So what I have here is, imagine you're starting a new job and the boss immediately assigns you a project. You have absolutely no idea what to do. It's your first day. So what do? You think back to your 4-H years and remember what you did before every single project in your record book. You planned. You set a goal, you make a list of what you need to get there, so now you are on a roll. You jot down your ideas, which you then put in a single binder to have them all in one place. You end up finishing the project that same day. So your boss is really impressed and he asks for a record of your expenses and materials used. But good news, you've been keeping track of that the whole time. Hello promotion, hello money.
So another great scenario is imagine you're applying to go to college and the college is looking for someone who is responsible, demonstrates a hard work ethic, and shows determination. You also think back to when you completed a very neat, well-organized record book. You now can provide as part of your college application to show your achievements that you work hard towards and completion of a project and your goals.
Now we're going to ask you guys to think of a real world scenario where your record book skills will be useful. We'll just give you a minute here, and then if somebody wants to share, you can just put it in the chat.
Or you can speak it if you'd like to as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, 4-H scholarships.
True. That's very useful.
Definitely. Definitely. That really helps with like preparing. Like if you have all your information prepared ahead of time before applying for a scholarship is really great.
Yeah, bookkeeping for a business, definitely.
Definitely.
A lot of running business. Record book skills are very, very good for that.
There's a lot of organizational skills with record books that come with helping anything to do with business aspects.
Farm records. If you're running a farm, you need to keep track of what's going on. I'll give you an example. Dairy farm. One of my main projects is dairy, and when we're breeding calves or cows rather, we need to keep track of the bulls they're bred to so we don't mix it up. Yeah, taxes and expenses, keeping track of bills. There's some good stuff here, guys. Your brains are really working tonight.
Really good.
Okay, so I think we're going to move on now. So many great scenarios. So now the book itself. What does your record book include? What are the judges looking for? We're kind of give you an overview here of what it looks like and what should be included.
So the first like page and a bit is about personal information. So you just jot down like about you, your name, your address, your 4-H information, and then about your club, how many years your club's been operating, your club name, age, members, and then the elected members, like president, vice president, and the other executive positions. So a tip is after your first meeting, write down everyone's name. And it depends whether if your elections are on the second meeting or the first, you can write those down after the elections are done. Otherwise, you may forget. And if you don't have your record book on hand, you can always write them down on a scrap piece of paper, or if you have a digital device, you can always write them down in notes with the date and the information as well for the elected positions and members, like names and phone numbers.
And the example I've put here is from the beef record book. Throughout this whole section, I'm going to be showing you examples of kind of the same thing from different project record books, so you can see it really is applicable to all of them. So moving on, we have the goals and planning page, and this includes why did you join 4-H, what do you want to accomplish, and how you'll contribute to your club. So when I'm doing this, I usually go into great detail. I make it very clear what I expect from myself, what I expect from my club, and what I plan to contribute. For example, I joined 4-H this year because I enjoy competing. I enjoy bonding with my club members. Those are all really good reasons. Like when you're doing this section, really think deep and think about what you personally want to gain from 4-H this year and what you could possibly give to it. So a really good tip for this section is to do this at the very beginning of the year. So I believe the book already prompts you to do it before you start things along with your project. But a lot of people I know leave it till last minute, so it's not really accurate, because it's at the end of the year, they've already done their project, and how can you know your goals before if you already finished it, right? So this really helps to set intentions and get your project rolling. Like, I find if I outline very clear goals, very clear intentions with my project, it runs a lot smoother and I feel a lot less anxious about it, knowing what I'm going to make happen. And this example is from the horse record book.
So club activities, some things that go here is your meeting, like your projects, your activities, events you attended, such as like judging rally days, communications days, different fairs in your area, and then important notes as well, and things like you can do pros and cons a little bit, so you can say what went really well or something that didn't go so well. And then as well as fun field trip days with your club or club fundraising days. And again, definitely focus on like time management. So make sure that you're putting those dates in there right away, if you're able to, just so that you can remember and you don't have to rethink and scramble back to an idea that you had that you didn't jot down. So make sure you get that doing right away.
Mm-hmm. And in the tips there, we have if in doubt, log it. So this is something that I swear by. Like, if I don't know if an event is applicable to this section, I'll just write it down anyways. Like, if I have it on the page, I can take it to my leader, show it to them, and ask if it's applicable or not. But if you don't do it at all, you might not remember it. You might not get it down if it is important. So best to be safe. And this is the Fiber Arts record book example. So now we have project costs, and this is the section that everyone dreads. It's not really that fun. It's just a bunch of math adding up things. It's generally quite tedious. I find you have to really dig deep into your project expenses and remember to log them over the year. So what goes here is any expenses from this year's project in particular. So I have this year's in bold because there's a whole other section for past expenses and they do not go here. I've seen lots of people make this mistake and get marks taken off for their record book, so don't do that. Examples of things that might go in this section are animal trailering costs if you have a large animal project, a display board if you're doing like an ed display or photography project, and of course, show entry fees if they apply. I'm not sure how many have them around here, but if your show has an entry fee, make sure to log it. Just like any costs that you had over your year with your project, this particular year go in this section, and this is from the photography record book. A great tip is to keep your receipts. So this is essentially going to prove that you had these costs, and if you ever doubt your work, doubt your math, then you can go back to these receipts. It just confirms everything. Make sure to write down exactly what you purchased with the date. That is very, very important, because if you don't have a date to go back to, you're not going to have any context for your purchase. So you're going to get all confused, and it really just helps avoid all that insanity. And log costs as they come in. So this is a whole other thing of really staying on top of your record book. And yeah, like if you leave it till the last minute, again, you're going to forget certain costs. And again, if you don't keep the receipts, like that's a whole recipe for disaster. No receipts, no memory. Nuh-uh, we're not going to do that here. That's not going to get you good marks. So keep your receipts, make sure to write down exactly what you purchased and log the costs as they come in. Right now we want to do a little stretch break because we know record books can be a bit boring. And during this stretch break, we're going to take like maybe
Like
5
a
minutes
couple
or so.
minutes,
And
like
pardon?
2-3 minutes, like 2-3 minutes, because we just
Okay, we can do two,
just kinda
three.
started.
And I want everybody to think of a tip to share of their record book experience. It can be something positive you did, something negative you did and then got corrected. Just think of something to add to this webinar.
See in the chat here, Carmen said that she keeps a journal of everything, so it's easy to go back on, which is a great idea because I know you wouldn't be carrying most of the times if you're at an event or something like that, you wouldn't have your record book in a binder. You
Mhm.
might have like a smaller notepad to write on, which is great. And then another one, I enjoy adding the photos slash scrapbooking at the end to add a fun creative touch. Yes, we'll be getting to the photo section soon, and it's definitely the judges always love seeing like creativity in your record book, personal touch, and like your excitement with your projects.
Achievement day. good on you for including that.
Yeah.
Something a lot of people miss.
Yeah, definitely good to date and label the photos with the title of what you like, the achievement day title with the date in the photo section. So your inventory, the value of your project's equipment going forward with this year's depreciation cost. So let's say that's that one tripod you've had for years. It'll go here again, and then it'll move forward again with your next record book. And look at your past record books to save yourself a lot of time trying to figure out how many years you've had something. Or even you could just keep an ongoing journal or binder full of just the costs so that you can easily flip to it later when you need that information. And definitely keep your receipts again. Yeah. And this is the Small Engines record book.
Yeah. So this page is my least favorite page, not even gonna lie, because it's a lot of math and no one likes math. Like, let's be real. Um, so David, I'm just curious, could you explain like the mathematical stuff of how you would calculate that 10%?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you'd put your item down and then you would go that times whatever the depreciation cost is of that year, so 10%. And then you would subtract, you would add your, let's say your $15 for your Phillips screwdrivers. You would subtract that from 150 from your depreciation cost, which would get your remaining valued. And then at the end, you would add up all your remaining values, and then you would get your total and your total depreciation costs.
Yeah. Okay. This is my personal favorite section, the photo album. I saw a lot of us chatting about the photo album during our stretch break, so I'm very excited to bring this up to you guys. As you can see in the beginner dairy record book example here, the page is blank. Why is it blank? Because they want your photos on there. That's why. So what goes here are photos of your 4-H year, including the process, presentation, and fun moments with your project. So the process could include anything like preparing your project for show, the process of building up your project, whether it be training an animal, building a small engine, taking photos. You can get somebody to take photos of you taking photos. That always is super cool and like really mind-boggling. um, the presentation of your project, this could be like at a show when you're talking to judges, when you're bringing your animal into the ring. Yeah, just really any fun moments from your year that you can think of. The judges really like photos that are, let's say, higher in the personality department. They don't want like a play by play of exactly the process how you did something. They want the fun moments. They want like it's very emotional appealing. Do you know what I mean? The rest is very informational, but this one you really want to tug the judge's heartstrings. So with that being said, a tip that I have, I actually discovered this last year and it's changed my record book life. Keep all of your photos in an album on your phone so you don't have to scroll through your camera roll for hours. So I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this, but you want to get photos, you want to get them all like printed, whatever you're going to do with them, and you sit there for like 2 hours trying to find them in all of your other photos in your camera roll. No, we're not going to waste our time. That's not what we're going to do here. So, literally, as soon as you take a 4-H related photo, make an album on your phone, like 4-H 2025 or something for this year. And then you put all of the 4-H photos you take in 2025 into that album. And I'm telling you, it saves so much time and so much agony. It's the best thing I've ever done, literally.
Especially if you have like 3 or 4 projects, then you're trying to find
Yes.
like photos for multiple projects to add. Yeah, it's a lot of time consuming. So that factors in with the time management as well. That helps with that section of the record book. And then
Yeah.
also on this section, like just because there's one page that says add photos, it doesn't mean you just have to put all your photos on this one page. It means you can add like more pages and more pages of like photos with their dates and their captions.
Yeah. So in terms of captions, you definitely should put the date that like if you're gonna do captions at all with nothing else, at least have the date on there.
Mhm.
That is super duper important. And they don't necessarily have to be in chronological order, but it's cool if they are.
Mhm.
The judges like order and neatness. So you really want your date in there. If you're gonna do anything, do that. And if you want to add like a fun descriptive caption, you can totally do that as well. Um, make it more descriptive so the judge can understand it. Like it can't be an inside joke you have with your club or something, because the judge, they're not going to get that. You're appealing to the judge with this record book. So while it is also for you and your memories, it is in the end being judged, right? And competing with other record books. So you want your caption to be descriptive of what's happening, and you can even add in how you were feeling in that moment and what was special about that moment that you want to photograph it. So yeah, really anything descriptive and fun.
And I strongly recommend like adding in like achievement day, club communications day, rally day, big project days you had, like if you like I'm in the dog project, and I know me and my dog members, we do like weekly practices like with agility. If there's like a big event or something where all the dogs will come, I'll get like photos, and definitely add in big project days as well as like other smaller times that you are with your project. But definitely like highlight like communications day, rally day. I said one other one, achievement day. Yeah.
Yes, achievement day is actually quite important. And as I said earlier, a lot of people forget it.
Yeah.
So you really want to document that and show the judge, hey, I remembered. I read the beginning page on the record book telling me what to do. I'm a competent 4-H'er, right? So yeah, you really want to give them that impression. And yeah, just reiterating what David said, like anything that your club does together, any significant 4-H moments, like events, yeah, it doesn't even have to be like with your project necessarily. Like David said, judging rallies, communications, all of that counts as part of your 4-H year. So make sure that's all included.
Yeah. Okay. So project summary. So what goes here? Reflection of your goals. So the goals you made at the beginning of your record book, how those benefited you or what you learned from those, or accomplishments and your overall performance as a 4-H member. Do not cheap out on this section. We're talking like 4 to 6 sentences here. Definitely try and fill up all the sentences, all the lines for the sentences. The judges love when a member is able to deeply reflect on their project. Putting in tons of information shows the judge what you've actually done that year. And it also can bounce off the photo section as well, because with the photos you have the photo, and then you can have like the goals you like accomplished as well. Sophia, do you have anything to add to this?
I would say just mainly before you do this section, separate it by questions, obviously. Like, let's say for the first question, how did you improve or learn the skills you wanted to learn? First of all, the skills you wanted to learn, what you would do for that is look back to your goals page. And so you really have those goals fresh in your head. And before you answer each of these questions, just sit there, take a second and think about it. This is not something that's on a timeline, unless, of course, you leave it till the very end, which don't do. You should really just sit with these questions and really dig deep and think, okay, how did I actually learn the skills I wanted to learn? Like somebody who may not have put as much time into this section will just restate their goals, saying like, I learned A, B, and C. But somebody who really sat there and internalized the information would say, by doing this, I learned A, and through this, I learned B, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of like tying your 4-H experience to your goals. Again, how do you accomplish the goals you set for yourself? That's part of the question. Like for this one, again, look back to your goals page and really think about what exactly made you accomplish them. Or if you even did, I hope you did. That's the goal, isn't it? Activities and helping and teaching others. That's all just very reflective as well. And yeah, as David said, definitely do not cheap out on this section. This shows the judge that you were paying attention, you were into your 4-H year, and that you weren't just in the same place at the same time as everybody else in your club. You actually were living there, being there, like in a present sense. So you really want to give the judge that impression of, I know what I'm talking about because I experienced this.
Sophia
I
and
see.
David.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
see.
we have a couple questions in the
In the
chat.
chat. So I see from Audrina, we have, what is the max amount of photos you can add? I wouldn't say there's a max amount, but I wouldn't go too crazy. I think in my record book from last year, I probably had like 30 photos, and that
Same.
was a lot of pages. So somewhere in between, probably like the 25 to 30 photo range. You don't need to like add in like everything you did. A lot of times you can add in just like key moments, or like if you had like a project, you can add like a project day, you can add in that, but you don't need to add in like small things. Um, yeah. And
Mm.
then if you didn't do any new activities, what do you write? So I believe in 4-H, like uh let me see here. There's always something new to learn it through 4-H. Like each year, there's something you can grow with and something you can learn from. And just because you didn't do like a big new activity doesn't mean you didn't do like, let's say you have been struggling clipping your dog's toenails for the longest time. You could say like, I learned finally how to clip my dog's toenails after this many attempts it took me. I learned this and this and this, and I learned from this and this and this to teach me how to finally clip my dog's toenails. Um, there's always, yeah, I believe there's always something that new activities you can learn. Yeah.
And it could be even like new ways to do your old activities or things that were
Mhm.
added to your old activities from
Yeah.
this year.
And what if you didn't learn anything new? Um, Not necessarily like if you didn't learn anything new, but like you could also learn from someone else something else. Like it doesn't have to be like personally to you. It could be from someone else. So like let's say you're at communications day and you're doing a speech and then someone else does a speech on, let's say, um, I don't know, like geoengineering or something like that. Then like you can learn from that, and that's something you've learned that's new.
There's really like, this doesn't have to be project specific, it can be
Mhm.
anything within 4-H. It doesn't have to be necessarily new skills that you did, just literally anything you learn. If you learn somebody's name, that counts. Well, I wouldn't use that. I would use something a bit more reflective, but it's the principle of the matter.
Mhm.
Even learning somebody's name, a new member of your club, that's learning something, right? There's
Yeah.
just so much that people tend to overlook in their 4-H year. Like even if they improve their impromptu a slight bit, that's learning.
Yeah.
So really pick from anything here, but
Mhm.
try to make it like significant and reflective. Does that answer everybody's questions so far?
Perfect. I'd take that as a big thumbs up.
Yay.
Perfect.
Okay, so now we have a quiz. I hope you guys have been paying attention. I'm just kidding, it's not that hard. It's fine.
I think there's one question on this quiz, and then we have another quiz at the end that has another question. So
Yeah,
good
like
luck.
literally if you guys haven't been asleep, you'll be able to do this. It's okay.
Good luck and have fun. And if you
Yeah,
get it wrong, it's something you learn new.
exactly. Right? Right? Really pushing the learning thing.
All right.
Okay, pull it up,
Everyone
David.
should be able to see it.
So I want you to check off all of the things that are part of your record book.
Can you guys resend the quiz chat thing, please?
The quiz. Uh, let's see here. I'd have to end it and then redo the whole thing.
That's a nice looking dinner, Madison. I want that in my life. What do you got there? It's like, is that chicken? Oh yeah. Awesome. All right, how are we doing with the quiz?
I'll give it another 30 seconds,
For sure.
then I'll call it.
Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna call it there. Looks like
Alright, let's
pretty much
see if we
everyone
did
has
it.
participated, and then I'll share the results. And I think everyone is able to see the results now.
Ooh, lots of goals and planning. That's good.
Definitely.
Yeah, project cost, photo album. Yeah, those are all parts of your record book. Good job, guys. Okay.
And then for the volunteer hours, that is added if you're a senior member and let's say you help out like at a club event or at your meeting or something, that can be logged for gaming hours, not so much in your record book.
It's like for different things. Okay, so now that we kind of know our sections of the record book, I kind of want to get into like the judging card. So this is specifically what the judges are looking for. So basically, an overview is completeness, which means all of your sections are filled out. There's nothing missing. There's nothing inaccurate. So like your calculations for the cost pages all have to be accurate. Also in most animal record books, there will be a feeding section, like where you calculate the amount your animal eats and the cost of that. That also has to be accurate. So the judges might kind of go over your calculations, see if you made any mistakes. So definitely do a double take on those. And judges are also looking for effort. So this kind of looks like bare minimum versus detailed. So your record book can technically be complete, but it might not win because you just did the minimum requirements. Like everything is there, but you didn't add much to it. You just basically answered the question, right? So let's say in the reflection section, bare minimum would be like, these are my goals. I did this to do them. Done. It's complete. But is it reflective? Not really. So if you want to add that extra bonus, you're going to want to add a lot of insight. You're going to make connections. All of that is the difference between bare minimum versus detailed in your record books. The third thing they're looking for is neatness. So this basically means that your book is in good condition and it's legible. So a good condition record book, the pages won't be bent. I want to say it'll look just printed, but if you've been working it for the entire year, I don't know about that. Just try and keep it as neat as possible, like in a little duotang or binder so it won't get damaged. And I've learned from experience, do not eat close to your record book. It's a bad decision. It could get stained and then you're gonna have to like copy everything down a new one, which really sucks. I don't recommend. So keep it in, safe, dry conditions and something that can protect it. And we also have legible, which we also kind of discussed earlier. This means that the judges can actually read what you put down. So if you write everything in chicken scratch, they're not going to know what you're saying. And again, they can't mark what they can't read. So typing, obviously make sure your spelling is correct and that your sentences are grammatically correct. And if you're handwriting, of course, all of those things, plus you have to make sure it looks neat and tidy. From personal experience, I would recommend typing out your record book just because it sort of accounts for the legibleness. It's a lot more of a guarantee that it will be readable. But of course, if you don't have a computer to do it on, if you just have your hard copy, then don't rush through the writing, make it really nice and neat. And then the last thing is, this is probably the most important point of your record book. The book should be representative of your year. So I have in bold right below this, the judge should be able to live out your year with you. So you want to make them feel like they're coming along for the ride, like they're participating in your project. And I find that record books that have this sort of pull that really captivates the reader and makes them feel like they're a part of your project, they always do way better than the ones that are just, bare information and no substance. So now David, who's like an expert on this, is going to go through a little bit more specifics of what judges are looking for to clear things up.
So what judges look for is the completion. Judges really appreciate a record book that is organized, easy to follow, and clearly labeled. It should be neat and free of clutter, and make sure that all the spaces are filled out, fully completed to the best of your ability. And then a little bit what Sophia said as well. So like the information, judges will check that the information is factual and consistent. So I know with the like the adding costs and all that, totaling it at the very end, definitely it doesn't hurt to double, triple check. Go over it a few times because I know I've made mistakes, and I'm sure if you've done record books before, you've made mistakes and you've caught them when you go back. This includes keeping accurate records of project activities, club events, and project costs. Always make sure, as I said, to double and triple check your adding and subtracting in the project cost section of your record book. The documentation. Judges will look for the documentation of your progress throughout the year, so make sure that you have all your dates in chronological order. You don't necessarily have to have them in chronological order, but I know it's a lot easier on the judges' eyes when they go through it. It's easy for the judges to relate if they see not so much relate, but it's easy for them to see January and then February and then all the days in order. It just makes it a lot easier on their eyes instead of like thinking there was snow in January and now all of a sudden they're in like June and it's like achievement day and they have to go back and then they're seeing February again where there's snow and you've done something with that. And then make sure that all the information matches what you actually did, which means it is a good idea to write in your record book what you did right after the event. And then the photos, we touched on this a lot. Judges often appreciate when a record book reflects on personal touch. It's necessary in a record book to add photos. And I definitely highly recommend adding tons of photos of you and your project. It really demonstrates to the judge how much time you've spent with your project and gives a visual view of what you did compared to the judge just reading it. A lot of like 90% of what people like remember and retain is visuals. And I know if I'm reading a lot of things, I will completely forget them. But if I have like a video or a visual that I'm seeing, I can make like relates to it and I'll pay more attention to that.
I also want to add on to what David is saying in the photo department. It is extra cool if you have photos for every single 4-H event that you log in your record book. It really gives the judges context and shows them what this event looked like, and it'll stick a lot more in their memory. So when your record book is sticking in the judge's memory, that's when you win.
They can relate to that and like bounce that. Oh, I read this and now I see this and now it comes all together and it's like one big
Yeah.
package of success.
Yeah, it makes the brain connections
Mhm.
really bloom.
And then a little bit of the overview. So judges are looking for a well-rounded, thoughtful, and complete record book that demonstrates your commitment to the project, your growth as an individual, and your active involvement in the 4-H program. A strong record book will show not just what you've done, but how you've learned and grown throughout your 4-H experience that year.
I really want to emphasize the last thing that David said, where a record book will not just show what you've done, but how you did it. You
Mhm.
know, like if a judge is looking at your like 4-H records, your competition stuff, all of that, they're going to know what you did. They can literally just look that up on their own. But if they're taking the extra time to read this record book, and I can say it may not be the most exciting judging in the world to read a record book. I don't think it's something you're like, yay, I'm going to go read record books today. You really want to make them enjoy it and take them along for the ride. Like, don't just say what you've done, say how you did it, what you got from it, and how you plan to give it back to others in the future.
And the judges like doing a 4-H project, not like you're gonna strive to do everything like perfect and like great, but in the end, like some things aren't gonna go as you planned. So if you like demonstrate to the judge like how you've overcome something that you did or something that didn't go as well, but then you did it again, and you can show the judge like the success through the process of it.
I'd like to add an example to what David's just been saying. I was at the Peony last summer with my lovely calf Willa, and her only drawback was that she was basically all white, which really sucks for washing and keeping clean before the show. I had her so perfectly clean. I was really, really happy in my clean whites, like just so ready to go into that show ring. Everything was perfect. And then she decides to do her business and it gets all over her back legs and they're white and that stuff stains. So I had to like panic, grab some baby wipes. We were going in the ring in like 10 minutes and oh, I was beside myself, but we pulled through. It was actually an okay class. But the point is, I included this in my record book. I said what happened and how I fixed it and how I might prevent this certain situation in the future. And the judge really, really loved that. So, really, just any experiences that had unexpected results, they love to hear about those, what you would change, and how you might change it in the future. Another quiz time. Are you
One
guys
more
ready?
quiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave is
Here,
going to pull that for everyone.
your launch quiz. Okay, I believe everyone would be able to see that.
Okay, so this one is just a single choice instead of checking off boxes. What are judges looking for in your record book? We have how fast you can get it done, your favorite cereal from the stain on page 3, a record book that shows your competition wins and losses, and a neat, complete record book that documents your progress throughout the 4-H year, or project rather. I cannot read.
I'll give everyone another like 10-ish seconds. Then I'll show the results. All right.
Whoa, everyone got it right. You guys have been listening. I love you guys. Oh my God. Yay.
Good job, everyone.
You guys have like the best record books ever this year. Just like show stopping.
Okay.
So, lastly, we just wanted to share some useful tips. These are David and Sophia's favorite ways to create a standout record book. So I'll start with the photos. Again, we've talked a lot about photos, but that's because of how important they are to your record book. So this is where your personality shines. This is how the judges know who you are because they can't really tell that from your writing and your math. Like, how can you tell who anybody is through math? I don't know. Let this section represent you and give your book originality because only you can be you. Let's be real. You have unique personality traits. You do unique things with your projects. So really let the judge see that.
And then reflect. So give your book a personality by adding like profound and interesting statements to your personal sections.
And then we have keep up. Oh my gosh, this is so important. Like, if you're going to take one thing from this lecture only, I want you to take that. So, consistently updating your record book will save lots of stress and cramming. Like, I'm sure we've all experienced, it's September coming up to Achievement Day, and we're all like dying because we haven't finished our record books, and you're starting school again. Oh my gosh, you're literally going insane. You're living on coffee. Just don't do it. Don't do that. And, maybe every weekend update your record book. Try to set a time where you can log things and, of course, do the beginning sections actually at the beginning of the year because the record book, like, while it is being judged, is also for you. So you want to be able to set goals, track your progress, and plan. So doing those sections when they should be done is really, really important. Also, keeping up with your record book will, in the end, create a stronger record book. Because if you're cramming, you're not really thinking about, oh, how are my statements profound, and you're not reflecting. So if you keep up, it's a lot less stressful, and this will actually make your content more appealing.
Then a little bit about the 4-H like record book pages. So I find that putting all your pages in sleeves just adds a bit more sharpness and neatness to your record book. It also helps that if like you're moving your record book around, like after you've added in the information, slip it in the sleeve. And if you're moving your record book around, it won't crinkle the page as much. Also putting in page dividers with labels in between the big sections. So like a page divider in between the costs, then another page divider in between the photo section, and then like the beginning of your record book, put a page divider in between there. It helps the judges flip through your record book better, and it just like gives it that extra like bling to your record book. And then also like when you get your record book, I find if I just take the staple out of the corner, and I believe they already come hole punch. So if you just like get a nice like binder that has like a sleeve in the front and like the very outside cover on the front, if you add like a photo of you and your project, like say I'm a senior member, your name, your club, your project, and then like the 4HBC logo, put that in the front of your record book in the sleeve. And then what else? Yeah, if you take the staple out of the corner and put that in the binder right away, it's so much easier to flip pages instead of trying to like carefully flip with the staple still in. So I find that just makes things a lot easier and more manageable.
Amazing. That is a useful tip I will definitely be bringing into my 4-H year this year. Okay, well, I hope you guys take these tips and use them for your record books, and I hope everybody really does well with their record books this year, not just for the judges, but for you. I want you all to feel like you've really had a good 4-H year and that you can look back in your record book and remember all the fun times you had.
Definitely keep all your record books.
Oh
Keep
my
them
God. Yeah.
forever. And then you can look back on the progress. So like your very first record book, and then you can look back at like, let's say in between like the middle and then your last record book, and you can compare the progress and see how you've grown and see how much like stronger you've gotten, like your communication skills through literature, your communication skills and like your photos and just what you've done in completion throughout the like all the years you've been in 4-H.
It's really creepy to see like just how much you've improved.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think I started 4-H when I was 13 years old. I know it's a bit late for some of you guys, but yeah, and looking back at that record book, I'm like, what was I doing? So it's really cool to see how you've improved, like David said. Yeah. And with that, we'd like to give you time to ask us questions if you have any. And thank you guys all for coming. We had a lot of fun and we hope you did too.
Yeah.
This as a leader is has anyone had experiences between the kids that have the typed out record books as opposed to the kids that have the handwritten record books? Has anyone had experience as to how a judge compares the two? Is it more on information or more on, well, not more on, but neatness as well as information? Like, how do they separate the two? I find it confusing.
I definitely have experience on this. So actually last year, my sister and I were very competitive in 4-H. Like we always want to beat each other. And we really take record books seriously. Like that is the front where we know we're equal. So we really, really put a lot of effort into that. So last year I handwrote mine neatly, might I add, and she typed hers. And we had like the same level of content and they were pretty neck and neck. But the one factor that got her to win over me was the fact that she had hers typed. So, in my experience, well, I was really mad about this, by the way, so that's why I was like really reflecting on it. If you have like a handwritten record book that's complete and reflective and you know all the bells and whistles and a typed one that's kind of like almost there, the judge will most definitely pick the handwritten one. I just find that if two record books are neck and neck, the factor that might separate them would be the typed versus handwritten.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
Plus,
Nice.
it's easier on the parents.
See in the chat, we have some people wondering if it's possible to get the PowerPoint webinar sent out. I believe you'll be getting a email that this whole webinar is recorded, and an email will be getting sent to everyone's email on the webinar. I believe so.
Jen, do you want to confirm that?
I also have a question.
Yes.
What do you guys think about including like two projects in the same book, like a steer and a heifer, or like a sheep and a steer or something?
I would say that there are definitely two separate record books. For those, like record books are project specific. I mean, if you want to include blanket things like your communications, your judging, that stuff that kind of applies to all of your projects, that would definitely go in both record books. But all of the project specific details would be allocated to their correct record book.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Of course. You know what? That is a good point, Courtney. It is very much judge preference. I guess my judge last year could have liked the typed better. So yeah, like really do what you want, but whatever you do, make sure it's like neat and legible and cohesive.
Yeah. Jen, do you know if we're able to send out like the slides to people's emails?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just popped in the chat too. For everybody
Yeah.
wondering, this webinar will be shared on the 4-H YouTube channel once it gets over to the marketing team over at the office. And then anybody that wants the specific slides maybe to share with their club, we can definitely make that happen. If David and Sophia are okay with sharing them, maybe
think-
just pop your email in the chat for us.
I think it's a great idea.
Mhm.
I can definitely put it on notes of people's emails if they want it. I can put that in and then I can get that sent out to people who'd want that. If you just put your email in the chat, I can put and then I can send that out to you.
Yeah, David, make sure you get down these emails 'cause I'm not gonna remember.
Yeah. Okay, I got yours, Courtney.
Okay. Paula says for kids who are in 4-H projects, four projects. Wow, I'm reading that as 4-H. I'm very tired. We have put all four in a binder with meetings at the front and each project in another tab. Otherwise, we don't have a sheet printout for each meeting. Okay. It all depends really on how your club does it. Like if your club does it like that, then great. If your club generally does it like two separate whole things, then that's great too. Just whatever you do, again, make sure it's organized. And if you are putting 4 projects in a binder, make sure it's very clear to the judge which project is which section. So like David said, you can like use what was the exact term? Like the separator things. What do you call them, David?
Page page dividers or binder dividers.
Yeah.
And they have like they come with little sticky things so you can write like photo section or like project costs on them and then stick them in there. It just like it also like helps you like if you're halfway through and you're just like flipping through pages, it just helps you like flip back really easily and nicely.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, whatever you're doing, make sure it's just very clear which is which for the projects. Also, this clearly shows how much better David is at this than me.
No, everyone has like different skills and different like things they've learned throughout the years. So like everyone's just like sorry, I'm trying to multitask. I'm not great at it.
I'm sorry to talk to you.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. You're good. Just get those emails.
Everyone has their own personal like traits or things they put in the record book to make it like boom and bright and creative and their own personal like advantages that they see just to benefit the record books. Okay, let's see what I got. Okay.
It's fun and also scary in the way that it's subjective.
And if you're like, okay, I have no clue what to put here, contact like a leader in your group or a project leader in your 4-H club or contact your A leader. Definitely don't like wait and be like, okay, I'm just gonna skip this, put it at the last minute. Definitely contact them right away, just so that you can get like a response and you're not having to wait and come back to it or like forget about it. Definitely contact someone as an A leader or a project leader in your club.
Oh my God, someone put samples of their feed in animal. Okay. I personally love that. I think that's the coolest thing.
That is
I
pretty
don't
cool,
know if a
actually.
judge would love that. I hope they would because we love fun judges, but that's like a whole other level of detail. That's crazy. Let's see. If you have 2 projects, do you put it in 2 separate binders? I feel like you could kind
Yeah.
of go like either or. If you're putting it in one binder, again, just make sure your sections are clear, very, very clear what's for what project. Me personally, I would recommend using 2 separate binders, but if you've got like 4
Definitely.
projects going on,
Mhm.
like if you want to save money, then
Yeah, definitely put it in like one record book goes in one book, another record book goes in another book, because then when you have your title page on like the front of your record book, it clearly defines which project is which project. And it just makes it a lot clearer for the judge, and it makes it like just in case like you miss a page, because if you take the staple out and you're like putting pages in and then you put a page from a different record book. I know this happened in my family once where we put a photography page in a rabbit record book by accident. So it just like makes it a lot clearer for yourself and more easily understandable for the judge. They just can go from one record book to the next. They don't have to, it just makes it clearer for them.
yes, thrift stores. Thrift stores
Thrift
are
stores.
like
Yeah.
heaven for 4-Hers, I'm telling you. So good.
Yeah.
And sustainable. That's
Definitely.
also a good factor.
Survey in the chat
Oh,
again,
okay.
just so it's at the bottom.
Yes. Please fill
Awesome.
out the survey. Muchly appreciated if you do.
Evaluate us. We love being evaluated.
you.
We're 4-Hers. What we do like 24/7.
And
Yeah.
any ideas for Sophia and David for future webinars, because they did such a great job. We want them
Mhm.
back.
Thank you.
We'd love to do another webinar. Anyone
Yes.
have any ideas?